Hello Canterbury and welcome to Canterbury Live on Monday the 8th of June. Well, I don't think we can start the week without acknowledging absolute tragedy in the weekend with Jerry Collins in France, with himself tragically being killed and his partner Alana Madhill. Their little beautiful girl Ayla, who is still currently in intensive care. I tell you what, if you need any little reminder of why you should embrace life and live it to the most, then that tragedy in France will definitely be a reminder to you. And they were actually coming back from a charity event that was held in France. So there you go, they were doing good right up until the very end. So our thoughts are with both families and of course Ayla, that beautiful little baby that no longer has a mum and dad. Very much on a lighter note though, Milo, do you enjoy Milo? Milo, I mean that's my childhood, I remember it, you know, it's always that little treat you'd get, maybe if you were lucky enough to have it with all milk, my goodness. Well, the recipe has changed apparently, but they haven't told us. No, they haven't. Apparently it's changed to be all good and better because of vitamins and all that jazz. But if you look at the bag, the expiry date on the bag, and if it says it's before August this year, then it is the old recipe. After that, it's the new recipe. Been a bit of controversy, people are not liking the new flavour. Who knows? But anyway, that's Milo. And last but not least, if you're looking at losing weight, apparently there's a simple thing by just changing the colour of your plate. If you put your food on a red plate, it doesn't look as attractive, so you won't consume as much. I know it sounds radical, but hey, buying a red plate could be quite a cheap way to lose a bit of weight, so there you go. Next time you're down at Briscoe's, I'm going to sail on, get the old red dinner set. Who knows? Okay, this week is very special as it's New Zealand Men's Health Week, so we're looking after men this week and there'll definitely be that running through the show, the theme of that, but we have this wonderful Extend Life gift pack to give away to your special man. It's worth over $400, quite incredible, even down to the old eye serum, yes, because they need to look after the bags under their eyes, don't they? If you'd like to enter, just call through to Marianne on 03 3777 033 or go to our Facebook page, like us and leave your details. It's as simple as that. Righty-ho. On today's show, the Red Cross join us. Meals on Wheels, do they still exist? Yes, they do. So we talk about that. And Phil Brady is here and we're talking about credit cards or overdrafts. Is there a difference? How do they work? And all that. And as well as that, optometrist Roberta joins me from Curtis Vision and we're talking about winter. We still should be worrying about our eyes and UV. Okay, very good. She doesn't worry about her eyes, but she definitely worries about our diet. And that is our Nicola Fraher from Nourish, who joins me first up. Hey Nicola, how's it going?
Good, thanks.
Good. Now, I'm a bit excited, we'll get into a minute about what your recipe is for this week, just quietly. It's a bit delish. Fill it.
It's always nice to match up a beautiful rich wine with that, so that's what we're doing this week.
Yeah. Sometimes eating out, we can get a little bit concerned about what we're actually putting into our mouths.
Yeah, I think when you eat out, often it's a special celebration or something like that, and so it's time to have something maybe a little different from what you might have before, or normally I should say. But often there's people who might be gluten-free, who might be diabetics, who might just be watching what they're eating for health reasons, trying to lose weight, that sort of thing. So restaurants in particular, they can often use that sort of information to give to their clients if they're wanting to know what's actually in the food they're eating. When they're looking through the menu, you know, they can pick the light option or the low carb option, low fat option, that sort of thing. Yeah,
it's quite savvy, isn't it? I mean, you have the old GF, DF, dairy-free, gluten-free, and little bits like that.
So much these days.
And it's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's great. We're recognising it. But how can Nourish though help us analyse our menu items?
So we've got a special computer program that if a restaurateur gives us the recipe, we can put it through the program and it prints us out a food label just like you would get on a normal packaging. So the amount of the calories, the fat, sodium, sugar, all those different things you can select for just about any nutrient that you want to know. You know, if you wanted to know calcium for some reason, that you can tell that as well. So really useful information, tells you all that sort of thing. And then we also have a service where we can work out, you know, if you are wanting to keep gluten out of a recipe or dairy out of a recipe, that sort of thing as well. Yeah. And
even gluten-free as well?
Yes. So yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's very cool indeed. So what about training staff though? Because a lot of, you know, I suppose if you're in the food industry, you have to be savvy and moving forward.
Yeah.
But staff do also need to be trained though, don't they?
And I think it's being being really reasonable about acknowledging that a restaurant is a place where people come for a lovely meal, of course. So that's got to be part of it. But also, if you have people coming to the restaurant who might want to, as we were saying, for different reasons, know what's in their food. So staff who are working in a restaurant, it's key that they understand what they're putting into the food and what that's doing to the composition of the final product. So we do one-day seminars, 1 hour seminars. We can sort of plan it for the particular restaurant. But things like working out how much sodium might be in an item you're cooking and how you reduce the sodium that you're putting in there. Things working out the different types of fat. You will have heard often you hear we've got to put some butter in for flavour and a little bit of oil for health sort of thing. Yeah. So working out why do we do that? What is that balance there? What does that mean if you are putting some butter in compared to total oil and that sort of thing? And actually working out, okay, well that's why I want to do it because I'm concerned about saturated fat, or maybe we're not. Maybe we want to go down the flavour trail. So yeah, just so all those sorts of things, working that out and doing it in a really interactive way. Lots of tasting, lots of
I've got to make it fun, haven't you?
Oh, you've got to, otherwise you fall asleep.
What's the point? Yeah. What's the point? And can you go into the restaurant or into the business, or
Absolutely.
Can they come to you? How does that work?
We can do it either way.
Yeah. I suppose because a business literally is still working, especially a restaurant.
Yeah.
That downtime is a big thing as well.
So you've got to make it as best fits their time. Yeah.
Okay, so we're sold on the idea of getting Nourish to look after some analysis. How do we make it actually happen?
So if you go onto our website, www.nourish.org.nz, and there's the Contact Us piece on there that you just link into, and then just flick us an email with your details and we'll give you a call and make a time to come and see them.
It's not scary, is it?
No, easy.
You get lovely Nicola to come out. It's not a bad thing at all. Okay, so here we are. We're finishing off things. Create a room, beautiful matching with beef fillet.
Beef fillet.
Fillet fillet.
Fillet. Let's just call it fillet.
Yeah, poshing it up.
Yeah, so we're matching that up with the Pinot Noir. Such a beautiful match, and just really simple, beautiful. The cut of meat is so lovely. It's just keeping it simple, serving it with some potato gratin and some lovely fresh vegetables, and it's all you need. Matched with a beautiful Pinot Noir and cooked out at the winery as well. So
and with that Crater Rim Pinot Noir, just beautiful. Yeah. And I think we can give a quick shout out because it's so good. Good Canterbury business. For Kirk's, you're saying that if you want a nice bit of fillet, head along to the Kirk's, the factory shop.
The factory shop.
There you go. We're giving you a tip there. Good on you. We look forward to that recipe tomorrow. And there we are, the details there for Nourish. Now, after the break, do you have an overdraft? Or do you have a credit card? We talk about the differences and how we can make a difference with some great advice from Phil Brady. Well, he's not Donald Trump, and I can tell you that is his hair. It is his hair. Phil Brady joins me from the City Mission. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Andrea. How are you?
I am fantastic, and
Great.
I'm very fortunate that I don't have a credit card problem, but people do, don't they?
They do, yes. I've heard recently that some people might buy a reasonably big asset using a credit card. And, let's face it, let's say it was like $8,000. They make the minimum payment each month, but what happens generally is they redraw it because they go back up to their limit. So using a credit card to buy a major asset is not a really good idea because the interest rates are so high. Like we're looking at nearly 19%, sometimes up to 20%.
Wow.
And of course, a lot of banks do offer this no interest terms if you go with them for a year, but after that year, of course, they're going to bump the interest rate back to where the market rate is.
Well, they offer to take on the debt you already have from another bank and transfer it over with them. I mean, the only way I could see it working with buying a big item is if you are savvy, you have the money, but you want to get the air points or that sort of thing. But I guess that's a rare thing.
Yeah, a lot of people do make their purchases like that to get the air points. And a colleague of mine would say, you must make sure you pay the whole balance off at the end of the month or when your bill comes in, and that way you don't get charged any interest.
Exactly.
But I noticed that if you make a cash advance on a credit card, then you're looking over 20% on the cash part of your advances. So in a way, credit cards are a thing that the companies want you to keep using, so they're gaining the interest out of it. So an overdraft is a wee bit different because usually it's like a person who's on, say, a monthly salary, so they're getting $2,500 net per month. When it gets to that fourth week in their pay period, it starts to struggle, because they haven't quite budgeted out correctly. So the banks will allow an overdraft, say, of about $500 on that, so that when they get into that fourth week, they've got a little bit of play money.
Space.
Yes, they have a bit of wriggle room. And as soon as their credit,
Wiggle room like that.
as soon as their credit comes in, of course, the interest stops.
Right.
Whereas on a credit card, if we don't pay back the whole balance, we get charged interest all the time. So an overdraft's a little bit better for a person who can actually pay back what they've overdrawn. And as you know, like a lot of businesses do have overdraft facilities because the 20th of the month is where the payments are supposed to come in, but they're always late.
Yeah, exactly.
So they use the overdraft to fund that period until they get their credits.
Yeah.
So overdrafts interest rates are around about 18, 19% also, same interest rate, but the overdraft is where the balance is repaid during the month, the whole balance, and the interest stops.
Okay. Before you go, give us one good tip that we can take away. If we're faced with, we have a credit card and we have the overdraft, we're trying to balance both, what should we do?
Well, it depends a lot on our income circumstances. So I look at a credit card as using it for an emergency or for an opportunity. So, for example, we might be overseas and something happens that we need a credit, then we've got that credit card to draw on. An overdraft is more for the day-to-day activities.
Right.
Like I explained, for a business or an individual struggling when it comes close to pay time.
Okay, I like that. So credit card, emergency or opportunity.
Yes.
I love it. That's 2 words we can take away.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Phil.
You're
It's
welcome.
great. I love it, I love it, love it.
Good.
Overdraft is the lesser evil. Like it. Rightio. Rightio, now we're going to talk about our eyes. Well, you can call me Four Eyes because that's what I've been since I was 12 years old, since I started wearing glasses. It's a very important part of my life. I do obviously wear contacts, but love wearing my glasses, and lucky enough to be joined by one of the most good-looking optometrists I think I've seen in quite a while. Now, Roberta, you're from Curtis Vision.
Correct, yeah.
Do you love your job?
I do, yeah. Yeah, most days. There's very few days where I can say I don't.
I mean, it must be such a satisfying thing
Yeah.
for those that are struggling to see, that have this new lease of life.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a wonderful thing to see.
Yeah. I guess one thing though with vision that we think of a summer and winter with sunglasses and things like that, but optical vision is something that affects us all throughout the year, doesn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with winter, can you please tell me exactly, the UV we worry about in summer, should we be worrying about in winter as well?
Certainly to a degree, not as much as in summer, but it is still present. And I think for people working outside, the exposure is still there for them. And certainly people that are engaging in snow sports and things like that, absolutely, UV is much more present for those people at altitude and enjoying those sports.
Yeah. And who is at most risk, or is there any one sector that's more at risk of UV exposure?
No, just purely people that are outside and also those that are perhaps enjoying recreation or working at altitude or with the snow where there's extra reflectivity in winter specifically.
Okay, so talk about the damage that UV does. What does it actually do to our eyes?
Well, a number of things can over the years can build up. So cataracts are probably one of the most common things that people hear of, but there are also melanomas of the eye, both internally in the iris and on the whites of the eyes, the conjunctiva. Pterygiums are really common, and that's a growth that comes across from the white of the eye, sometimes onto the cornea or the clear part of the eye. They're very common in New Zealand. Okay. And pigment, extra pigmentation, cancers of the eyelids, wrinkles are a result of UV exposure.
Right.
So yeah, the effects are quite numerous in the eyes.
You just touched on about New Zealand. So how do we fare, I suppose, in the world stats as far as UV damage?
I don't have statistics as such, but significantly high because of our exposure to UV with the lack of the ozone and increased sunshine hours and things like that. So places that perhaps you'll see more damage is closer to the equator as well, where there's a lot more sun.
Right.
And again, often in some countries where there's less awareness and less protection from the sun.
Actually, you raised a point about the islands. I know I went there once and someone said, take your old sunglasses to give to the children, to the adults, and we did.
Yes.
And they were just blown away and just thought it was amazing.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
maybe that's a nice point to someone for heading over to the
absolutely.
islands to drop off of those ones that you go, oh, can't wear that, just doesn't look fashionable.
Absolutely, yeah.
But they're actually practical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there ways to guide your eyes from UV in normal spectacles, or what can we do when we purchase them?
A lot of our optical lenses actually have UV blocking properties in them, so you could always ask the dispensing optician who's selecting your lenses for you whether that is available in the lenses you've got. The majority will have, but again, it's something you can check with your optometrist or dispensing optician.
Do you think people get embarrassed when they come along also that they don't have great vision? Are they a little bit shy or try and fake what they can see when they look at the old reading test and they, oh yes, no, yeah, I can see it?
Yeah, I don't think there's quite the same stigma around not being able to see, because I think contact lenses, glasses are so readily apparent now. There are perhaps some people that are a little bit coy about it, particularly, springs to mind older men that don't particularly think that they have a problem with their vision, that everything's fine.
Yeah, right.
But
it's like hearing, isn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But then some people as well, their perception is that they're seeing everything they need to see. So it's quite individual, I think, the responses you get to some people.
And it's so fashionable, isn't it, Roberta? Are you excited about how we've moved? It's a fashion piece now, glasses, aren't they?
Fantastic frames around, absolutely. Yeah.
Budget can be a bit of a worry for people, though. A question we just talked about when we went on air was sunglasses. Do you have to buy the most expensive sunglasses?
No, you don't. But I would look out for the sticker on the lens that says 100% UV protective. By law in New Zealand, if they're being sold as a sunglass, it's expected that they're 100% UV protective. But it's a little bit of an unknown sometimes with cheap and cheerful glasses. But again, just check for the sticker and you shouldn't go wrong.
Yeah. Okay, great. Hey, Roberta, it was wonderful having you here. Thanks. Have a great day. And remember that if you are seeing things a little bit blurred, you need to go to the professional and get it all checked out, and it could be a whole different world for you. Stay with us after the break. We are joined by the Red Cross and we're mealing on wheeling.
Get your motor running. Head out on the highway.
Yeah, Carol's rocking down today.
Yeah.
Do you like that choice of music?
I do.
Down the highway?
Reminds me of my teenage
Oh, it
years.
does. It just another conversation, couldn't it?
Could be.
I'm a bit partial to the old V8s myself, just quietly. But today we're talking about Meals on Wheels, and I'm so happy that this service still exists.
60 plus years now it's been going here.
So how did it begin?
Early in the 1950s, there was a gas and electricity and fuel shortage. And the then president of the North Canterbury branch, as it was known, Lady Wigram, she realised that there was a lot of people who were going to be suffering. And so with cooperation right across the community, gas rings from the gas company, pots from the hospital, a gentleman called Mr. Fail making a stock, and lots of people contributing vegetables, they started making soup and delivering, now I've got to get this right, pint bottles, which you could buy in those days.
Yeah. You're talking about your pint milk that we used to get at the gate put out for milk?
Pint bottles. So they would deliver soup in these bottles. That lasted for about 4 or 5 months, I think, around about that time. Then they decided that soup needed to be a bit more. And so they started doing casseroles, or stew, as they were then, stew and potatoes. And then later on they added vegetables, and then later on again they added the milk puddings. And all that was cooked by the Red Cross volunteers in those very early days. So, and that continued through, I think, to about the late 60s. Red Cross cooked the meals.
And with the mode of transport, the volunteers' vehicles still?
They were the volunteers' vehicles. There had to be 2 people delivering the meals, and because in those days the recipients paid Red Cross directly.
Oh, right.
And so one person was looking after the meal, one person was looking after the money. And that continued right through for a long, long time, that there had to be 2 people delivering the meals. That's changed now, but...
Well, yes. Well, does it cost?
Yes, it does.
To receive a meal? Okay.
It does.
Tell us about that.
If somebody now needs that assistance of a hot meal in the middle of the day, they actually go through their GP or a district nurse or through the medical ways to get to it. The recipients are looked after by Princess Margaret Hospital, and it's Princess Margaret Hospital that organise the rounds.
Right.
The meals themselves are now cooked at Hill Morton and have been cooked by the DHB since about the late 60s, early 70s. But Red Cross, we are the people who recruit and make sure that our drivers are on a good roster. So really, if you want to volunteer one day a week, one day a fortnight, it's Red Cross that you ring.
How neat. So what kind of commitment as a volunteer do we have to give? Can you explain how a day would work? Or
Sure. Most of the rounds are about an hour and a half long. So if you can give us an hour and a half from 11 o'clock on a morning. The meals are all cooked at Hill Morton, but then they're taken by charter trucks to 6 other pickup points around the city. So you don't actually have to travel away across the city. That we can do something in your locality. From the pickup points, the drivers take the box and a specific round, there's 60 rounds in Christchurch, and they deliver them.
explain the box then. How do they come to us?
The box is a large polystyrene chili bins.
Chili bins.
Yeah,
yep, sure.
Yeah, but of course, chili bins, although they sound cold, can also keep the food hot.
Yeah, exactly.
So the drivers pick up 2 bins: the hot meals, hot main meals, and then the cold milk puddings. And the puddings are always there as a cold pudding. And
there will be a list of addresses. Tick, tick, away we go. And no worries about having to collect money these days. Yeah, isn't that great?
That's directly between Princess Margaret and the recipients. So it's very much a delivery service. But that delivery service does so much more than just deliver a hot meal. It gives you a contact every day. And especially, we have elderly now, or people who want their independence but don't have family nearby. Yeah. It's a great thing to know that somebody is going to knock on the door and say hello. They're going to receive a hot meal. It's that social contact that's really important.
And reality is, for some of them, they may go through a whole day without actually seeing another person. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
To become a volunteer, it's really simple. Just go through to the Red Cross website and make contact there. How easy. Hour and a half, one day. It's not much at all. Look forward to next time. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. It's been a fantastic show, all good and wellness. Tomorrow we have Phyllis Brown, continuing the chakra theme, and Sarah, our crafty chickadee, joins us. Have a fantastic Monday. It's going to be an awesome week. Thank you for joining me.
J'aime la mode penchée, les grands défilés, vitrines et magazines me disent que